The world is holding its breath. In 2026, Iran stands on the edge of a historic moment. The country's supreme leader, Ali Khamenei, is aging, and the question of who will succeed him is more urgent than ever. What happens next in Tehran could reshape everything from global oil prices to international peace. Change at the top in a country like Iran does not happen often. When it does, the effects are felt far beyond its borders. The supreme leader controls the military, courts, media, and foreign policy. This is not just about one man, it's about the direction of a nation with unmatched influence in the Middle East. For young people everywhere, what happens in Iran will affect the world they inherit. Will Iran become more open, or will it double down on confrontation? Will it reach out to the West, or turn further inward? The stakes are as high as they come. The answer is not simple. But it begins with understanding why the coming leadership transition in Iran is the biggest global threat of 2026. Ali Khamenei became supreme leader in 1989, following the death of Ayatollah Khamenei, the founder of the Islamic Republic. Since then, Khamenei has ruled Iran with an iron grip. He is more powerful than the country's president or parliament. Every major decision, from nuclear talks to domestic crackdowns, goes through his office. For over 3 decades, Khamenei has outlasted American presidents, regional uprisings and economic crises. He has shaped Iran's politics, economy, and society. His authority rests on both religious legitimacy and control over key institutions. Under his watch, Iran has grown more assertive in the region, supporting groups like Hezbollah and influencing wars in Syria and Yemen. But time is catching up. Khamenei is now in his late 80s. Rumors about his health swirl through Tehran's bazaars and the halls of foreign ministries worldwide. The question is no longer if the end of his rule is coming, but when. As his era draws to a close, everyone is asking, who will fill the vacuum he leaves behind, and what kind of Iran will they shape? Succession in Iran is unlike anywhere else. The position of supreme leader is not inherited like a crown nor won in a traditional election. Instead, it is decided by a secretive body called the Assembly of Experts. But the real influence over the process lies in the shadows. Among military leaders, top clerics, and powerful families. No one truly knows what will happen when Khamenei is gone. Some argue that the country could open up, embracing more moderate policies. Others worry about a period of chaos, with factions fighting for power. The stakes are enormous, not just for Iranians, but for everyone watching from Washington to Riyadh to Beijing. The uncertainty has already caused tension inside Iran. Security forces are on high alert. Political elites are jockeying for position. Outside powers are quietly making plans for every possible outcome. This is a rare moment in history. The choices made in the coming months could lock in a new direction for Iran for generations to come. One name stands out in the succession debate: Mojtaba Khamenei, Ali Khamenei's son. Mojtaba is a figure shrouded in mystery. He rarely appears in public, and little is known about his private life. Yet, whispers in Tehran suggest he is a powerful force behind the scenes. Mojtaba is a mid-ranking cleric, not as senior in religious rank as his father was when he took power. But he has reportedly built strong networks among Iran's security forces and hardline political circles. Some insiders say he has already acted as a de facto leader during his father's illness. Critics worry that Mojtaba's rise would mark the start of a family dynasty, undermining the revolutionary ideal of leadership by merit and Islamic scholarship. Supporters argue that he is disciplined, discreet, and deeply loyal to the system his father built. If Mojtaba does become supreme leader, Iran could become even more closed and authoritarian, or perhaps more stable, depending on your perspective. Perhaps the most important reason Mojtaba is seen as a contender is his alleged close ties to the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps, or IRGC. The IRGC is not just a military force, it's actually an economic giant, a political kingmaker, and, well, a guardian of the Islamic Republic's core values. Over the years, the IRGC has grown even more powerful, expanding its reach into everything from construction to telecommunications. It controls much of Iran's missile program and oversees proxies across the Middle East. Any future leader will definitely need its support, or risk being sidelined, or honestly, worse. Reports indicate that Mojtaba has cultivated strong personal relationships with IRGC commanders. His ascent could mean even tighter coordination between the Supreme Leader's office and the military. This would have huge consequences for Iran's domestic and foreign policy. Such a partnership could make Iran more aggressive abroad and more repressive at home, raising the stakes for the entire region. A new supreme leader with deep ties to the IRGC could really transform Iran's approach to the world. For years, Iran has walked a careful line, sometimes reaching out to the West, other times clashing with its neighbors. The future, though, could look very different. If Mojtaba Khamenei or another hardliner takes power, Iran might double down on confrontation. Sanctions could tighten. The nuclear program could accelerate. Proxy militias might become more active, from Lebanon to Iraq to Yemen. The risk of open conflict with Israel or the United States would definitely grow. On the other hand, a leader with secure backing from the IRGC might feel confident enough to open new negotiations. The world would be watching for any sign of change, but trust would be in short supply. The stakes are global. Energy markets, regional alliances, and even the hope for peace in the Middle East really depend on who sits atop Iran's power structure. Iran's power is not just about politics or military might. Geography gives it a unique advantage. The country sits at the crossroads of the Middle East, bordering Iraq, Turkey, Afghanistan, and Pakistan. Most importantly, it controls the northern side of the Strait of Hormuz. The Strait of Hormuz is a narrow waterway, only about 21 miles wide at its narrowest point. Yet every day, nearly 1/5 of the world's traded oil passes through it. Iran has the capability to disrupt this flow, using mines, missiles, or small boats. When tensions rise, markets react immediately. Oil prices spike, shipping insurance rates soar. Countries from China to India to Germany feel the shockwaves. The next Supreme Leader will inherit this geographic leverage, and honestly, the temptation to use it. Global stability often depends on whether Iran chooses confrontation or cooperation in these strategic waters. Leadership change in Iran could bring a period of uncertainty and volatility. Investors hate surprises. Any sign that Iran is moving toward a more aggressive foreign policy will send oil prices higher. This could trigger inflation around the world, as the cost of energy touches everything from food to transportation. If the new leader is seen as a hardliner, sanctions could get tougher. Iran's oil exports might fall, tightening the market further. In some scenarios, even a small clash in the Persian Gulf could escalate, closing the Strait of Hormuz and cutting off a vital supply of oil. Global supply chains are already fragile after years of disruption. Another shock from Iran would be felt everywhere. From gas stations in Europe to factories in Asia, the impact would be immediate and severe. This is why everyone from Wall Street to the United Nations is watching Tehran, and why what happens with Iran's leadership matters to all of us. Inside Iran, politics is a battle of visions. There are hardliners who want to keep the Islamic Republic strong, isolated, and resistant to Western influence. There are moderates, some within the system, who hope for gradual reform and better relations with the world. And there are reformists and activists, often young, who dream of more radical change. The Supreme Leader decides which factions rise and which fall. Under Ali Khamenei, the hardliners have gained ground, especially after the violent suppression of protests in recent years. But the struggle is not over. Every shift in leadership brings new opportunities and new risks. The IRGC supports the hardline camp. Powerful clerics argue about the proper role of religion in politics. Meanwhile, millions of ordinary Iranians want stability, jobs, and a better future for their children. The next Supreme Leader will face pressure from all sides. What happens next in Iran is not just about elites. It's about the hopes and fears of an entire nation. History teaches us that leadership transitions in tightly controlled systems are unpredictable. When the Soviet Union's leaders died, the world changed overnight. In China, new rulers have repeatedly surprised observers with bold reforms or harsh crackdowns. Iran is no different. The system is designed to prevent chaos, but human ambition and factional rivalry often take over. Backroom deals, power struggles, and even violence are possible. The new leader might be more cautious, or far more radical, than anyone expects. This unpredictability is what worries policymakers around the globe. A miscalculation in Tehran could trigger a crisis that no one is ready for. The stakes are even higher because Iran is at the center of so many global issues: energy, security, religion, and regional power. For young readers, the lesson is clear. In world politics, moments of transition are times of both danger and opportunity. Many young people may wonder why a leadership change in a distant country matters to their lives. The answer is simple. In a connected world, no country is truly distant. Decisions made in Tehran can affect the price of gas, the safety of global travel, and the possibility of peace or war. Iran's next Supreme Leader will shape not only his own country's future, but also the future of the Middle East and beyond. If tensions rise, the effects will ripple outwards, hitting economies, shaping alliances, and even influencing election debates in far-off countries. Young people today live in a world defined by uncertainty. Climate change, pandemics, and technology are already changing the rules. A sudden crisis in Iran would be one more test of global resilience and of young people's ability to adapt. Understanding what happens in Iran is not just for diplomats or experts, it is for everyone who wants to be ready for the world that is coming. Iran's next supreme leader could be the most important new leader on the planet in 2026. The country is at a crossroads, and the world is watching closely. Will the new leader choose confrontation or cooperation? Will Iran's people see more repression or a new era of hope? Mojtaba Khamenei, with his ties to the IRGC and the country's power networks, stands as a leading and controversial candidate. His rise could mean more control at home and more tension abroad. Or, it could open the door to surprising changes. The truth is, no one can predict exactly what will happen. What is certain is that this moment matters. The stakes are global, touching everything from oil prices to the chances for peace. For the next generation, understanding Iran's choices is key to understanding their own future. As Iran approaches a new era, the world must pay close attention. The story of its next supreme leader is the story of us all.